The Nikon P1100 boasts an incredible focal length of 24 to 3000 millimeters, allowing you to capture objects that were previously out of reach, with Nikon themselves saying that you can touch the stars or even roost with the eagles. I'm recording this in Cheltenham, so the eagles might be a bit of a reach. But that's not all. The zoom length can be further extended to an incredible 6000 millimeters, meaning we may even be able to answer that age-old question, is the Earth flat? Once again, I'm filming this in Cheltenham, so, we'll see what we can do. So before we get out and start using it, let's take a quick look at the camera itself. As you can see, it is certainly not a subtle beast. It weighs in at 1.4 kilograms. It's pretty sizable, I think you'll agree, but it has been built for practicality and ease of use. Everything that you need is within easy reach at all times. The P1100 features Nikon's powerful X-Speed image processing engine, along with a 16 megapixel backside illuminated CMOS sensor and bright f2.8 aperture lens to aid in low light situations. The camera is also capable of autofocusing at up to 7 frames per second and features RAW support so that you can save and export uncompressed image files for greater flexibility in post-processing. The focal length can actually be adjusted with either hand, which is very useful. So we have this adjustment here surrounding the shutter button here, so you can use it that way. We also have a button on the left-hand side that you can adjust using your thumb, so you can just keep yourself positioned nicely, which is a nice touch, I thought. Also on the left-hand side, we have, I think it's called a snap back button, but if you press that, it actually brings it back to a wider angle. So that way, if your subject goes out of frame, you can bring the camera back, readjust, and then go back in again. Pretty useful. There is a pop-up flash as well as a hot shoe so that you can mount a flash gun or external mic, as we also have a 3.5mm jack. The camera features a fully articulating flip screen that allows you to take images from various perspectives with ease, as well as a 2359K dot OLED electronic viewfinder with eye sensor. In terms of the button layout, things have been kept incredibly simple, making this a great camera for beginners. One of the upgrades from the previous model is USB-C charging, meaning that you don't have to remove the battery to charge it, which is particularly handy when out and about. Lastly, there is room for a single SD card, and the camera is powered by the ENEL20A battery. So, now that I've got a lot of the technicalities out of the way, let's go and use it. Would help if I got up and actually moved, wouldn't it? So, I think it's fair to say that the selling point for this camera is that incredible 3000mm focal length. So, let's get into the park now, see what we can take some images of as I stumble over there. And yeah, we'll see how this camera goes. I was lucky enough to stumble upon a pair of swans with their signets and was able to utilise the vast focal reach of the P1100 immediately by keeping a good distance while not being too obtrusive. I had the camera set to bird watching mode for optimal settings in this situation, and I was very happy with the images that I was able to capture. The camera has 4 stops of vibration reduction, which certainly helped when shooting handheld, but I did find that once I started getting around the 1800mm zoom length, it got a little more hit and miss with the keeper rate. However, if you're shooting 3000mm handheld, you have to be prepared for some camera shake. It's just going to happen. I also found that the autofocus struggled a little at times, but using the burst mode increased my chance of sharper, well-composed images. However, while I am on the subject of burst modes, the only real negative that I found so far was how quickly the buffer filled up. It didn't take many images at all before I had to wait for the processor to catch up. Not ideal, but overall I was very happy with the images it produced, especially when you consider that this is only a 16 megapixel sensor. I was also able to capture some handheld video that I was happy with, but we'll be going into the video specs a little later in the video. Just using the screen here as well makes things a little bit easier. So the 3000mm focal length came in particularly handy there. We had a pair of swans with their signets, always best to stay away in that situation. Now, I wasn't using 3000mm by any stretch, but it was nice to know that it was there. It allowed me to stay right back and get some shots of the signets there, which was really cool. Now, not only do we have the 125 times optical zoom, but we can also get up to times 250 digital zoom. In fact, what's it called? The dynamic fine zoom, as it's called, which can get us up to 250 times. I think I might have just said that. This allows us to get incredibly detailed images of, say, the moon, which I'm going to hopefully try and get later on, either tonight or tomorrow night. As I'm here, oh, all right, bud. As I'm here, it's probably worth pointing out that there are also 5 inbuilt shooting modes into the camera. I'll just go through them now. So we've got the moon mode, which I just mentioned. We'll hopefully try that later. Bird watching mode, which I've been using. There's today a bulb and time shooting mode, a fireworks mode. I don't think we're going to get much cause to use that. Certainly not today. I don't know anywhere where there's fireworks going on. And we also have a multiple exposure mode. I think you can stack up to 3 different images for multiple exposures. Like all modes, this automatically switches all the settings for the optimal use in the said situation. Actually, I think those signets are going over somewhere else. I'm going to try and capture them if I can. Not capture them in that way, you know, digitally, photographically speaking, I suppose. I was too late to capture any good images of the returning signets, but I was lucky enough to stumble upon this crane, and I was very happy with the results, especially with them being handheld images zoomed in as far as 1800 millimeters. I think I've got about all I'm going to get here. In fact, actually, you know what? I'm going to try out the macro mode. So we've got some decent flowers and everything around. So yeah, I'm going to try out the macro shooting. I think we've got a very, very close focus distance on this. So let's try out that now. Let's do it now. Okay, let's go into macro mode. See how up close we can get some of this stuff. The P1100 allows you to get as close as 1 centimetre to your subject while using the wide end of the zoom length, and as close as 7 metres when extended to 3000 millimetres, which is very impressive. Speaking of the 3000mm end of the lens, it was now time for me to head off to another location that would offer more subjects from a distance. It was time to see just how far the reach was on the camera and to see what I could achieve while having it mounted on a tripod. So I'm here at Slimbridge Wetland Centre. I do have a membership. Nerd! Yes, but I'm going to actually try out the P1100. Well, of course it's the P1100, that's what the video is about. I've got it mounted on my tripod, and we're going to see if we can get some better shots with it that way. I will say, I mean, the focal length is pretty impressive. I'm not even getting anywhere close to the 3000mm at the moment. Let me see. Come on, let me see. So that's at 3000mm. Something I will do while I'm here, though, actually. Let's get the movie side of things going. The P1100 is capable of capturing video at up to 4K UHD at 30p, as well as full HD recording at up to 60p. You can even capture video at frame rates as high as 100 frames per second for slow motion footage, but this is at 480p, so how often you would use this is debatable. The camera supports clean HDMI out, so you can output videos through an external monitor during recording, and the camera's built-in microphone jack allows use of an external microphone for sharper sound. It's also possible to use superlapse and time-lapse modes. I decided to try out the burst shooting mode, with the P1100 being capable of capturing up to 7 frames per second. Once again, it became very apparent just how quickly the buffer fills up and left me waiting before I could take more shots. Not ideal. I'm actually going to head off now to another location, Cleve Hill, and I'm going to really highlight how far this thing can reach, because we've got a load of buildings out there that I'm going to be getting images of, and I can mount it up on the tripod properly and get it set up nicely. So we're going there next. So here I am up Cleve Hill, and as you can see in the background, we have Cheltenham all the way down there. And for this final test, I wanted to just highlight the real focal length that we actually get with this camera, because it's difficult to see on the photos and the videos sometimes, you know what I mean? You don't really get any sense of how far away these things are. So there's a couple of structures I've got off in the background. Over there is the race course, and where is it? Over there, way over there, we have a building called the Eagle Star building, or at least it used to be the Eagle Star building. So I'm going to focus on those. I'm going to do it on the video so you can see how much I'm zooming in, just to give you some sort of idea of exactly what this camera is capable of. I'd also like to say as well that this actually in a way is a tribute to a guy that I used to work with, a fellow Clifton Cameras colleague, Matt Ward, who very sadly passed away last year. I don't want to bring the tone down, but he was a good friend of mine. We did a lot of videos together, and in fact, if you actually go and watch the P1000 video, that's what this is about. He did something very similar back then. So I just wanted to pay my respects to my fallen comrade, Matt Ward. God bless you, mate, and I miss you. So here we go anyway. Let's Let's got a bit emotional there. Let's do this. So the first building that I'm going to zoom into is the race course, or a building on the race course, should I say. Let's get that going in now. Bearing in mind it's very, very hot today as well, so we're going to get some heat shimmer. Sure, that's not the technical term, but as you can see, we're just zooming on in. Oh, and that last little bit there that you saw, let me take that out a bit. I believe that there is the 3000mm, and then after this we have the digital zoom. So let's try it this way. So that's zoomed in at 3000mm at the moment. You'll have to excuse the shaking there. It's very windy up here and my tripod's not the best. And let's zoom right out to give you some idea of how far away it is. So that's that's an indication of the zoom length for you there. Let me try it on another building. We'll try it on the Eagle Star building now. So now we are zoomed right at the bottom of the Eagle Tower building, and we're going to zoom right out. That haze really is something. That's pretty impressive. I'm sure you'll agree. Absolutely insane. So it's been a couple of days since I've been out with the P1100. Who is this camera for? Because it's an odd one. Obviously, the selling point of this camera is that incredible 3000mm focal range. I think it's fair to say that at the wider end of the lens, it's not really offering anything that you couldn't get from other cameras. It's also not the best when it comes to action and fast moving subjects, so wildlife photographers aren't really going to get too much out of this. The autofocus was decent enough. I did find it hunting a few times here and there. The buffer was an issue. It filled up so quickly. You take one burst mode shot and it would just be filled up instantly, and you'd have to wait before you could take the next one. That was a bit of an issue. Again, I don't think that's what this camera is designed for. I would say, however, this is a fantastic choice for beginners because the button layout was so simple. Everything about the camera was very intuitive and easy to use. Also, anyone who's looking to observe from a distance, so bird watchers, or that goes for anyone who, you know, trains, boats, planes, you know, it's a fantastic camera in regard to that. If you're out bird watching, for example, it would be a great choice to take with you so you can document exactly what you've seen on the day. Not the best for catching the fast moving subjects, but for documenting animals in their natural habitat, whether it be nesting or eating or just resting, chilling out, this is a great camera. The 3000mm focal length that you are getting for the price is just absolutely insane. That's the selling point. That's why you're buying this camera, that incredible focal range. One thing I also have to mention, I had to redo this outro because I originally did it on the day of recording and I've had to reconsider a few things. One of the main things was when I was looking at a lot of the images on the back of the camera, they really didn't look good. They didn't look that sharp and I was actually really disappointed. I was actually going to give this camera a bit more of a beating, to be quite honest with you. But unlike other cameras, when I got the images back to the laptop, I was very surprised at how sharp and how clear a lot of the images were. There were some shots I got of some of the cygnets, of the crane. All of those were handheld shots as well, and they were so sharp. I was really impressed with it. That was a really pleasant surprise. I wasn't able to get any shots of the moon, unfortunately, because the moon cycle was not with me for that. It's not something that I often research, to be honest with you, so I did what I could in the time that I had allotted to me, and sod's law, the moon was nowhere to be seen in the time that I had it. That being said, when I did have the P1100 mounted on a tripod as well for extra stability, I was really impressed with just how far you could zoom in. I did find that the handheld stuff I was okay at. I could just about get away with it at 1800mm. When it went beyond that, I was just shaking all over the place so much that it was really difficult to get decent shots. That's where the burst modes would have come in a little bit handier, you know what I mean, to be able to pick and choose the shots that I was getting. However, once I had it mounted on a tripod, I was actually very pleasantly surprised with what you could capture when you just had that extra stability. Just 3000mm is absolutely insane. This, I know it extends to 6000mm with the digital zoom. By that point, it's kind of a diminishing returns thing, but the 3000mm, I was so impressed with the image quality, and it's just fantastic for this price range. The battery life was okay. It wasn't great, but now that we've got that USB-C charging port, it makes things so much easier to keep charged up. I had my power bank with me, so when I was walking, going between locations, I was able to just plug it in, keep it topped up throughout the day, so that wasn't really too much of an issue. A great camera for beginners and anyone looking to observe from a distance. The image quality was fantastic. 3000 millimeters at this price point, you're just not going to get it anywhere else. It's an interesting camera to use. It's not going to be for everybody, but for those who are looking for this sort of thing, it's going to be absolutely perfect. As always, if you do want more information, make sure that you click the link in the description. If you enjoyed the video, drop us a like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because it really does help to boost the channel. Until the next time, I'll see you then.